Now let us see what is meant by an eclipse. We have already learned that when an opaque object blocks the path of light, it results in the formation of a dark patch, and that dark patch is known as shadow. Eclipse is an example of formation of shadow in the nature. So we have shadows formed in nature also. Now let us see in detail what is meant by an eclipse. Now look into these pictures here. As you see here in all these pictures, it clearly shows that sun is a luminous body, which means it gives out light. While as you see here in these pictures, Earth and Moon, they are opaque bodies. Sun is a luminous body, while Earth and Moon, they are opaque bodies. Now we have already learned that the Earth revolves around the Sun in fixed imaginary orbits, while the Moon will revolve around the Earth in an orbit. So Earth revolves around the Sun in an imaginary path called orbit. Same like that, Moon revolves around the Earth in an orbit. Now while this movement of Earth and the Moon, sometimes as you can see here in this picture, the Sun, Moon and the Earth, they come in a straight line. Earth or Moon, as you can see here, that lies in between will block the path of the light of Sun. Now this will result in the formation of a shadow on the other object. This will result in the formation of an eclipse. That is, by the movement of Earth and Moon, sometimes this Earth, Moon and Sun, they come in a straight line. And any of these objects, that is Moon or Earth, that comes in the middle at any time, it can block the path of the light from the Sun. That will result in the formation of an eclipse. So first, let us learn what is meant by a lunar eclipse. So we have learned that, as you see here, Earth revolves around the Sun in a fixed path called orbit. At the same time, Moon revolves around the Earth in this imaginary path called orbit. So, this Earth and Moon are in continuous motion. So, when the Sun, Moon and the Earth are in a straight line, wherein Earth comes in between the Sun and the Moon, then Earth will cast its shadow on the Moon. So we have already learned that when light falls on an opaque object, it will cast a shadow on the opposite side. So here, when Earth is in between Sun and Moon, and when the light from Sun falls on Earth, which is an opaque body, it will cast a shadow on the opposite side. So here, Earth will cast its shadow on the Moon. This will result in the formation of a lunar eclipse. So when the Moon is completely in the dark shadow of the Earth, it is known as a total lunar eclipse. As you can see here, the Moon is completely in the dark shadow of this Earth. Now this will result in a total lunar eclipse. While as you can see here, when the Moon is partially hidden by the dark shadow of the Earth, it will result in a partial lunar eclipse. When moon is completely hidden by the dark shadow of Earth, it will result in total lunar eclipse. If the moon is only partially hidden by dark shadow of Earth, it is called as partial lunar eclipse. So remember, in case of lunar eclipse, the sun, earth and the moon are in a straight line in such a way that earth is in between the sun and the moon, and earth will cast its shadow on the moon. This is known as a lunar eclipse. Now let us see what is meant by a solar eclipse. Same like how we have seen in the previous case. In solar eclipse also the sun, moon and the earth comes in a straight line. But a solar eclipse occurs when the moon comes in between sun and the earth. Now when moon comes in between sun and the earth, moon will cast its shadow on the earth. Now we have learned moon is also an opaque body. So moon, which is an opaque body, it will cast its shadow on the earth since it will block the path of light from sun. So a solar eclipse occurs when the sun, earth and the moon are in a straight line with moon in between sun and the earth. And moon will cast its shadow on the earth. This is known as solar eclipse. As you can see here in this picture, this is a total solar eclipse. That is, when the moon hides the sun completely, as you can see here in the picture, it will result in total solar eclipse. At the same time, in this case, you can see that moon hides the sun only partially. Now this is known as a partial solar eclipse. So as you can see here in this picture, when moon hides the sun completely, then we do not get any light on the earth. So no sunlight will reach the earth during a total solar eclipse, and it will become totally dark even during the daytime. I hope you all would have experienced this on December 12th. So on last December 12th, we had a solar eclipse. So this is the case of a partial solar eclipse wherein the moon hides the sun only partially, as you can see here. This will result in the formation of a partial solar eclipse. Remember that you should never look at the sun directly during a solar eclipse because there are chances that your eyes may get damaged. So now we have learned about lunar eclipse and solar eclipse.